Okay, so this is Ethan from Empower the Body to Fight Cancer Naturally, and I'm having a quick chat with Monique. Monique is the wife of Louis, who has a very rare type of bone cancer. So, and quite a story behind it. So, Monique, just before we start, can you just tell us what type of cancer Louis has? Because I know it's rare. It's one that I'd
O-
never heard of, and I can't even remember what it is, to be
Okay,
honest.
he has a disease called MDS, which is myelodysplastic syndrome, and there are seven different categories of the myelodysplastic syndrome, and he is rare and unclassified, so the doctors cannot find out what to do with him. He
Right.
was diagnosed 2 years ago, as of today, and
And
for the first
was
year
this
he
with the
could
Mayo
not
Clinic,
receive.
Monique? Was he diagnosed with? I know he's with the Mayo Clinic
Yeah,
now, but he was
right.
okay. So it was with the Mayo
He's to
Clinic.
Mayo Clinic, yes.
Okay.
He's to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota,
And what was the
and we were
prognosis?
given the choice.
What was the prognosis? It's pretty much doom and gloom prognosis, right?
The prognosis is not good because basically his bone marrow is failing to do blood cells, platelets, and white cells. So therefore, is like a form of leukemia, but it's not leukemia.
So he basically can't
Basically,
make blood. That's right,
he
right?
cannot make the right cells.
Right.
Basically, he's if his bone marrow is working, is making immature cells, and his cells are not supportive of his body. So therefore, the first year that he was diagnosed, we were offered a stem cell transplant, and we decided against it because it will give you a lot of chemotherapy to kill every cell in your body, but your mother cells are really never killed. I
Right.
mean, you will still have that stem
The
cell.
stem cells.
And
Right.
therefore, after that, they will introduce the cells of a donor, either your brothers and sisters or a stranger, that is going to give the stem cells. Your body can accept it, but your body can also reject it. And once your body rejects it, you're cooked.
Okay.
And so we
So
decided against chemotherapy. We decided against any of these things. Through my findings, one of my friends, Maureen Smetzer, introduced me to Empower Your Body to Fight Cancer. And that's how I met Ethan. And so
for
through
the record,
Ethan,
Ethan is me, right?
he told me about the protocol. You told me the protocol,
Yeah.
and you told me about the transfer factor.
Right.
So when Louis got out of the hospital in March 5 of 2015, we started immediately on transfer factor. And then that year, he could go 120 days, 90 days, 200 days without transfusions, okay? But started in 2016 in January, his bone marrow started to really fail. And therefore, he was down to 2.3 as low for hemoglobin. Normal in our body is 14.
14. Right.
And he
So
could barely
he
walk.
was
He was in a
barely making
wheelchair.
hemoglobin then.
Yes, he was that low in hemoglobin. So
So
then he
just to refresh, so he
required,
was on a number of things. So he started with transfer factor, and then later he added sol and plant based minerals, sizzling
yes,
minerals.
we added
Um,
salt, we
right,
added
and
transfer
so so
factor, and a lot of the
so
vitamins you talked.
right. So the stuff that's a part of my protocol. So that kept him going, but he was still getting worse. But he was blowing away the doctors with the fact that he was still alive, right? But it was getting worse, but
Correct,
much slower than it should have been. So we went 2 years,
correct.
and during that 2 years, which shocked the doctors, frankly. I mean, I think they mentioned something about throwing away their medical books at one point because they couldn't believe he was still alive. But then we added
Right.
something to the protocol. At that point, I found out about something that I didn't know about until that point, which is only going back a few months now, back to the end of last year, December. And I found out about a special type of water that is single file aligned, which gets into your cells much better. It super hydrates the cells. I'm not going to go all into what it does, but anyway, I found out about this. I told you, and I said I think this is going to really help. So you got it straight away, right? And what happened then?
Okay, so I ordered a machine from you. I received it the first week in January, and we started drinking our water, him and I. And
Or can I just interrupt?
the
Sorry,
first week in
Monique. Can I
January,
just interrupt just 1 second? At this point, Louis, by this point, is in a wheelchair, right?
correct,
Right. Okay. Sorry.
correct.
So.
In December, his numbers were hovering between a 3 and a 4.9 for hemoglobin.
For hemoglobin.
He was in a wheelchair. He could barely walk 2 feet in front of him.
Wow. Okay.
Without feeling like he was going to die. So we started on that water the first week of January, okay?
Okay.
And we've been drinking that water, and from that day on, his numbers have been going steady up. He's been as high as 8.2 2 weeks ago.
Hold on.
Today
From
he
2, where was it? 3-ish, around 3 before?
Yeah.
And it's gone up to 8.
3,
with
4,
14 being normal.
8.2.
Right? Wow. Okay.
And today when we went to do a blood test, his blood is at 7.2.
Okay, so it's staying stable up
He
in those.
is walking. Correct. He's walking without a cane.
So okay, hold on.
he's no
Let me
longer
back up a
in a
minute.
wheelchair.
So he's no longer in a wheelchair. Is that correct?
Correct.
He's not in a wheelchair. He's walking and without a cane. Right?
Yeah.
I remember you called me. You called me a week or two back, and I remember you said to me, you said, "Hey Ethan, guess what Louis doing?" And I said, "I don't know, Monique. I have no idea. What the heck's he doing?" And you said, "He's on a treadmill." I remember that. He's on a treadmill.
Yes.
He's from a wheelchair. He's on a treadmill. And then more recently
he's
still.
on a treadmill.
Go on.
Last week he walked a half a mile on Wednesday and a half a mile on Thursday.
Wow. I mean,
A half a mile for somebody that could not walk 2 feet.
right. So all you've done different. We've had the protocol which has kept him going for the last 2 years, and the only difference now is we've added in this water, which Truth About Cancer talks about. That's where I found out through somebody called Gina Clifford. She told me, and it was talked about on Truth About Cancer, and I did my research from there. So we added that in, and that's all we've done different, right? And now we've
Exactly.
had this.
But one thing I want to mention is he still gets blood transfusions.
Yeah,
But last
yeah.
year, every
Well, he
time
can't
he
make
gave a
blood,
blood
so,
transfusion,
yeah,
it did
yeah.
not make any difference.
Right.
Every time he was at a 4.2 and he went to get a blood transfusion, he was still at 4.2 the week after, or maybe even as low as 3 or as low as 2.3.
Right.
But now, since we've been doing the water, his numbers have stayed up. And that's incredible.
That is incredible. Now, just a slight aside. Now, you're a dog groomer, right? You groom dogs, and I asked you to do
What?
dogs. You groom dogs, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I wasn't talking English for a minute there. So you groom dogs, and you've got dogs. You love your dogs, and so I asked you to do a little experiment, and I asked you to put this water, get some water, and half of it you're gonna turn into a single filer line with the machine, and the other half you're not going to do anything with, and put it in 2 different matching bowls and just see what happened with the dogs. So what was the result of that little test?
They drink the line water.
Right, they completely ignore the other water, right?
Correct.
Why are dogs so much more intelligent than humans? How do they know this stuff?
I don't know, but they do it, and they're doing great too. But to me, this water has changed Louis' life.
Right.
What else? We were discussing this today, coming home in a car, and he said that's the only thing we have changed.
Yeah.
It's the only thing.
And what are the doctors saying, Monique? What's their response been?
What is what?
What are the doctors saying?
Well, we don't see the doctor every time,
Right.
but
So who is it that you're seeing?
The nurses.
It's the nurses. So what are the nurses saying?
We don't see the doctor every time we have a blood test.
Right.
But the nurses that work for the doctor are impressed of his results, because there's no way.
Have any of them shown any interest in the
also-
water themselves? Have any of them Because
Yes, they
like,
have. You know, today they asked me to bring some water with me, and so they tasted the difference, and they could not believe it.
right, they could taste the difference of the water.
They can taste the difference in the water, yes,
Wow, 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 wow.
and we can taste the difference. It's kind of like more of a smooth feeling. It's easy to drink, and
Right, and so you're
yeah.
taking the water now. I know you're not sick or anything. Have you? I don't. I have no idea the answer to this question, but have you noticed any difference personally yourself?
Well, I notice I feel better. I sleep better. And I haven't been sick in 2 years either
But you,
because I
because you
cannot
do some
afford
of
to
the
get sick.
protocol as well, right? You take some of these things yourself,
Correct. And
right?
what I do is I work at an office where last week and 2 weeks ago people were sick with colds and flu and everything, and I never got it because I guess my immune system is protected
Well,
with a
yeah. Well,
cancer
actually,
factor and the water.
the water superhydrates the cells, and when your cell is properly hydrated, it's resistant to virus, it's resistant to bacteria and fungi. It makes the cells much more resistant. So yeah, you're less likely to catch whatever's going around because your cells are properly hydrated. So absolutely wonderful, Monique. I love getting calls from you because it's always good news. Which is not usually the case
Yeah,
when you've
that's
got
good news.
somebody with like such a serious disease. Usually, I'm dreading those calls because it's like, oh, what's you know, you know, when they're doing
Well,
a proper natural
one
protocol.
thing the doctors tell us is that out of 10 grams of hemoglobin, a human still cannot walk, but Louis does it. Louis is incredible. I mean, Louis
Hold on.
can
So let
function.
me understand this correctly. So they're saying if you've got what less than 10 grams, you shouldn't be able to walk. Is that what they're saying?
No, right, correct, correct.
And he has got less
The
than ten
doctor, the,
grams.
oh,
So
he has less than that. And the doctor said a human being will come to my office with 11 grams or 10 grams of hemoglobin. They would not be able to function. They would not be able to walk. And we cannot believe your husband can do this at 7, at 8, at 5, at 4, at 2, at 3. He can do it.
wow,
And
wow.
we cannot believe the results. This water, I cannot explain any other difference, but that is the only thing we have added to the protocol has been the water. And since we started with the water this year, the first week in January, these numbers have changed. Unbelievable.
Absolutely brilliant,
I mean,
Monique.
his numbers have changed, and here's a proof that he's alive. Say hi to Ethan.
Oh, is he?
Hey,
Hey, Louis. Great to see you.
uh,
I didn't know you were sat there.
yeah, no, it's great to be seen at this point.
Fantastic. Love to hear what's going on with you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this water thing. They said I don't know how you can explain it scientifically, other than the fact that I do get a blood test once a week, and since I've been on this stuff, the hemoglobin has continued to go up. And the
Fantastic.
only reason it came down from the 8.2 was because the oncologist, what happens is when your hemoglobin is super low long enough, your heart actually goes on vacation. And then
Okay.
if you gain too much hemoglobin too quickly, you might actually end up with a heart attack because your blood's not used to pumping that thicker liquid.
Oh, okay.
So she said no transfusion, a couple of weeks ago. So it went from 8.2 down to 5.8. But the following week it was 6.2, and now the following week it's back to 7.2 again.
Awesome, Louis. Awesome.
So,
I'm so
it's
excited
just,
for you. It's fantastic.
well, and then what we've done is see they have a standing order for me on when they can give me blood and when they can't, and that's based on my hemoglobin level. So we had them, it was 6 before, so we had to move it up to 8. So if I stay in the 7s for a while, then we'll have them move it, 8.5 or 9 or whatever, as long as I don't go from 7 to 11 in a week, they're
Right. So we need it to go nice and slow and steady. Then we don't want it going too quick. So that's great.
Right, but see, they also they don't know me and my background, and while I've gone through this whole process, I've been lifting weights and walking the treadmill for most of it. I had a space there of about 5 6 months where I was so miserable I couldn't do it anymore. And it's not, I shouldn't say miserable. You just don't have the incentive.
Yeah.
You look at a pile of coins on the table and you go, geez, I'd really like to count those. But you're like 3 days later, they're still laying there because you haven't talked yourself into enough energy to count the damn thing.
Right. Right.
And when it was at 8.2, then I'd feel like do something, but I'd actually go do it.
Excellent. So yeah, so you're actually feeling better in yourself as well as the levels go up.
Yeah, and I'm not a 275-pound diabetic, which is basically the way the rule book treats all the other patients with low hemoglobin, is they have so many other problems that when the hemoglobin starts to go up like this, they get freaked out. The doctors do, that they don't want to have them get too much too soon, because then that'll affect their probably already bad heart anyway. They got 18 layers of fat around their heart, and they don't want to chance it.
Right.
So my home doctor, my original doctor, he knows me as an athlete and triathlete and stuff, so it's easier for me to deal with him. So I have him call the cancer doctor, the oncologist, and have him explain to her that it's probably okay if my top line is 8 instead of 7 or 7 instead of 6, blah blah
But
blah.
you should not even be able to do this talking at 8.
Yeah. People that give blood, and they're normally at 14,
Right.
and they go in like every 2 months. So they go in, they say, okay, they test them before they take their blood. I have one friend who, in the 2 months, his blood didn't get back to 14. It was at 12.
Okay.
So they won't allow him to give blood. But he leads a normal life. And, well, it was 12 and a half for a while. Now they made it 13.
Right.
But, regular person could be as low as 12 and still be okay.
Right. Okay.
And with me, I've been driving my car below 3, and walking and talking, and they can't figure it out. I mean, there isn't any doctor I've talked to or any nurse that believes this. That I got some people starting to wonder if I was misdiagnosed. Because
it just shouldn't be happening.
This is what your blood shows, but you're not acting like it.
Right.
And then now with the blood boosting the hemoglobin besides, it's just that much better.
Awesome. Well, listen, Louis, I appreciate you speaking, and I don't know if you realise that this is being recorded, but it is being recorded. But I appreciate you speaking. That's fantastic, and I'm so delighted for you. When Monique rings me, I'm always like, I answer it really fast because I'm just desperate to find out what's happening. It's just so wonderful to hear. So thanks very much.
Well, yeah. If I can do backflips, I'll call you and we'll go out on the circuit. The problem is I couldn't do backflips before the disease, so I don't know if that day will ever come.
Okay, well, God bless you, Louis. Thank you so much, and thanks as well, Monique. That's fantastic. Appreciate it. Lots of love, and I'll speak with you soon.
I will give you more results next week.
Tell me
We
more.
hope we go back to 9.
Okay, God bless you, Monique. I'm going to go. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.